Hello everyone, this is a comparative video to the video that I've done on the books for final MBBS part 2. If you wanted a screenshot, so here you can take it. And now, right now what I'm going to discuss is about three aspects. Firstly, about how to pass your profs, and then about topping the class, and then what I have done, my personal experience, tips and tricks of my final MBBS part 2. So let's get into it. So firstly, passing. Just remember this point that you will compulsorily pass. Okay, just have that confidence that yes, you will pass ultimately at some point or the other time. Just have confidence that you would surely clear your final MBBS part 2. So you must be thinking that yes, she's crazy. How can she say that? She doesn't even know me. How can she say that you would be able to clear? See, that is the kind of pressure or the stress that you will be having, because each and every day you'll be going to your postings, and then you have your classes. I don't know what you do in your classes, but in the postings, at least it is mandatory that you're supposed to go through those system wise or the topic wise, and then they would be asking you questions the next day. So that is the reason where you get to read each and every day, and that is mandatory. So that is how it will help you in a way to pass your examinations. And coming to the books which would help you in passing the examination is that you could directly go with Mantappa or Matthews. If you wanted, Ramdas is a good book, but then people have said that it is quite lengthy. So Mantappa or Matthews is the book of choice. And then what you can do is primarily first buy the question bank, and then tick all the questions in with respect to all the books that you buy. Do it in the first 1 or 2 weeks itself, because it will help you in concentrating on what is important, and that will let you revise more. See, the funda of final MBBS part 2 is just revision. Keep on revising as much as possible, and that will help you to reach the goal. See, the portion is so vast that you might not be able to cover each and everything that you wanted to. Even just before the day of examination, you cannot cover the portion. So what the fundamental thing is that you need to keep on revising, try to complete your portion as early as possible, and then get back to the revisions. So what I suggest you is, for people who want to pass the exams with ease and they don't want to take much pressure and stuff, I know this is wrong, but this is not conceptual. But then if you are sad, depressed, and if you think that you lack confidence, and this is one way where you can try to pass your examination by firstly ticking on the questions and then going through those questions. Okay, for practical examination, just blindly follow Algappan. Keep on revising as much as possible. I'll make another video on the practical examination, how you are supposed to approach for that, and this is for passing. And with respect to surgery, you can just buy Manipal. Okay, general surgery, it is better if you read SRB, because general surgery isn't much of a problem, and you'd be able to cover general surgery quite easily. Whereas Manipal is something which would help you in gaining good amount of marks, as well as reducing the amount of stress, because surgery is one subject where I find it very stressful. Not just me, surgery paper 2 is a nightmare for many of my seniors, our batch people, and then yes, it will be that for you too. So what I suggest you is, for passing and getting a good score, and I think Manipal is a better option for you all, and you can just refer to SRB whenever you have doubts. So then you go for orthopedics, just go for Maheshwari. See, Maheshwari is something which is just point wise, and I find it very easy and simple to approach. So go with Maheshwari. And then for obstetrics, better buy Datta. I suggest you to buy Datta. If you think that I can never ever do Datta, if you think that I don't want to stress myself so much, then go with Mudaliyar. That is an option. And for gynecology, it's just Shaw. Just blindly go buy Shaw, read Shaw. You'll be able to do it in a month's time. Shaw will be done. And then pediatrics, OP Guy, that is what everyone do. And in OP Guy, what you're supposed to concentrate is on the first 10 chapters. That is highly recommended. And for with respect to pediatrics, the essay questions are not repeated. Just mind it, essay questions will not be repeated, except for a new chapter called nutrition, where you get a repeat question. Except for that, you do not get a repeated question as an essay in pediatrics. So you have to be well versed with almost all the topics that you have in your pediatrics, including CVS. Okay. And then for passing, you have to actually read CVS in medicine too, because I personally find CVS very tough topic for me. And I think you have to go through CVS at least for the important questions regarding to that. And I would then try to if you all wanted, just let me know in the comment section that how I used to divide my topics with respect to CVS and CNS, and how I used to read with respect to those, and so that I could make it simpler for you. If you all wanted me, then I would make, or else it is up to you all. And then for practical manuals, thus it's just those basic questions that you're supposed to read from SDAS. And though you just have like 3 or 4 cases, and you just have to go through those cases from the manuals. And during the practical time, you are just supposed to read only the manuals but nothing else. And then once you get back to your home, you have to go through the theory part related to it, and the case sheet that you have written. Then coming to topping the class. Topping the class, this is someone who think that yes, I can do something more. I want to build my concepts, and it is not just about passing. I don't care about the marks, but I want to get good concepts as well, just gain good marks. And then this is what I tell you: go with Davidson, start Davidson. And then when you have your exams, see, we usually know which topics are important, so just go through those topics. Apart from that, just a 1 month before the examination, just take out your Matthews or Mandappa, and then go through it, and you can figure out what are the important questions that you are supposed to just remember. You already know the concepts. Those are the points which you have to remember for the examination. For that point of view, you can just go through them. Or else Davidson is an amazing book, and except for infections, as I told you, it is a really good book. Then I'll tell you what you have to do for infections. And for surgery, just go with SRB. SRB is amazing. It is a little difficult for me as such, but then SRB is a standard book if you aren't following Bailey and Love. You have a lot of information on SRB. Just be selective in what all you are reading, because there are a lot of named surgeries in SRB which are absent in Manipal. In Manipal, they just give you that this is the surgery. Suppose there is this flush ligation surgery for varicose veins. It's just given as flush ligation, but in SRB it is given as Trendelenburg flush ligation. And the named surgeries are quite important with respect to this subject, so you have to learn that from SRB. And Bailey and Love, it depends on you. If you think that you can do it, just go with Bailey and Love. See, just remember one rule, that you cannot cover everything in the given amount of time. See, at a certain point, you have to compromise on which book are you reading. Suppose you read a high-end book such as a Davidson or a Harrison in medicine, you have to compromise something in surgery, or compromise something in orthopedics, or the other books, other subjects. So do not expect that you would read the entire Bailey and Love, entire Davidson. See, you sit for 24 hours and do, it is not possible to complete. Trust me, that it has been very difficult. People who are my friends, and they have read Davidson, but we cannot complete all of it. So because completing is not the key, it is about revision. So make sure that you compromise on certain things so that you can give space for the other ones. Then for orthopedics, go with Natranjan. Natranjan is an amazing book. For tumors of bones, you can go through Maheshwari, because people have told me that the tumors in Natranjan are difficult. And then for obstetrics, obs, just go with Datta, Gynec Shaw, and pediatrics OP Guy, Nelson if you wanted to, just for nutrition or neonatology. And practical part is quite important. And I forgot to tell you that Kundu is an amazing book for medicine. It has good practical points, and whatever postgraduates discuss during the case discussion sessions, there are many questions coming up from Kundu, and Kundu is a good one for your Viva as well. Okay, and then Rajamahendran sir's Surgery Long Cases is an amazing book. Just go through it. You might find it useful, but I never prepared. And then what I did was, see, I was basically scared with medicine. I was so scared that I just read 2 chapters from Davidson. That is endocrinology and central nervous system. Endocrinology, to my luck, I got like 26 marks out of 60 marks for my final MBBS, but that is not the case always. So what I suggest you to read is at least read systems in Davidson. And I have heard that psychiatry and dermatology are good. So what you can do is you can read your psyche, derma and anesthesia from your PG notes, which is a good thing. It will even be useful for your future. And apart from doing that, you should even if possible, you can even do PITS, which would be highly helpful. And what I did was, I just read these two topics from Davidson, and then I was so scared. There were many a times where I felt so depressed with respect to my studies, and then I didn't wanted to do anything because they used to not teach me much in my postings. At least in the batch that I was in, we had to be back of them, and they used to not find interest. They were so busy that they couldn't teach us. So I was in such a batch, and I faced a lot of it. I was very sad, and then I couldn't do Davidson as such. It is my personal experience. This is my honest review of what I have done. I've made a lot of mistakes, so I think it is important for me to tell you people. And what I did was, I started with Mantapa. That too, when I started just in December. Once I was done. See, my first internal and my second internal, I have never read anything. I didn't touch medicine. I just went and wrote medicine and I've come. I've only read hematology, that too from Robbins. I just worship Robbins. Okay, I just hematology, I have just read that, and that is it. I never prepared anything for medicine as such, because when I used to read it, I would feel, I don't know, I was overconfident or so, but that is not the way a student should be. I was overconfident that yes, I think I know something more than this, and I don't have to read it. I just have to read the treatment part, and then I used to read that, and then I would just close the book. So that is not the way, and that was a mistake that I have done. And with respect to Mantapa, I've read Mantapa in like 3 weeks, just 3 weeks time. CVS, CNS, which took me a little longer, and then GIT, renal, I just did it in 1 week. That too, I used to sit for like 4-5 hours together, and then I would just complete it. And it was really hard for me to do CVS and CNS as such, because that's the reason why I split the CVS into certain chapters, certain topics, where I would just read those things, and then I would just end it up. First, I thought I wouldn't read CVS, but for pediatrics as such, you have to read CVS, so it will be a part of it. So I thought what I did was, I put my pediatrics book, I put my medicine Mantapa book, and then I read pediatrics, and then I read this. So whatever I would find nice in pediatrics, I would just read that. With respect to meningitis, CVS and CNS I've read parallelly, pediatrics and medicine. That is a really good thing I've done. And most of the time I used to sit in my room where I could get access to as many books as possible. I took out my books from my second year. I've referred forensic for poisoning, complete forensic for poisoning, like truly forensic. And then I have microbiology. Infections part, I always wanted to read it from microbiology since the day one of my MBBS, but then I've never done. I've done just the day before giving my exam. I've read the entire microbiology, the parasitology in the entire textbook, and then I ended up getting just one question, which I didn't read, Entamoeba. So that is the thing. I read microbiology. I took out the microbiology textbook, parasitology. I read microbiology from that, and then I followed Sharma and Sharma for pharmacology. So that is a book that I love so much. That is my book that has been my savior since years together. Since like 3 years, I've been following that book religiously. So Sharma and Sharma is a book that I die by, and I used to read a lot of pharmacology from that, and all the treatment part from that. And then pathology, I used to take out Robbins, I used to take out Hashmohan. There were a few things which are missing out in these two, so I would just compensate for it. That is how I did my medicine. Okay, it is a collaborative study. Everything is just one, so you need to read it as a comparative study. Whenever you think you are not up to the mark, just always try to keep your second prof books beside you. And coming to surgery, I read SRB. I was so scared with reading SRB that I literally stopped reading for like 2 to 3 months. What I did was, I started reading line to line. I'm a student who read Park textbook, like every sentence, every line of it. Okay, but because I had time in my third year, I did that. But final year is not like that, mind you. It is not like that. You're not supposed to read line to line. It is just that you have to read the ones that are being taught in your class, and then the important questions that would be necessary, and the ones you think it is important. Just ignore the unnecessary things which are not required for an undergraduate. And SRB it's been an amazing book. I was very scared with reading SRB. I was so scared that I didn't touch my books for 3 months. I stopped reading surgery, I stopped reading medicine. I only kind of read orthopedics, gyne-obs and pediatrics. I've just completed them quite early. So be sure that you at least prepare the subjects by your internals, at least for your first internal. See that you complete all the subjects up to the mark, at least for your internals. Try to not keep the phone and write. I was so confident enough that even though I didn't touch my medicine book, I have scored really good marks. I fared well, so that gave me that overconfidence that I don't need to read medicine. But that is wrong. Do not do that. do not do that. Okay. And surgery I used to read up to the day, and for systemic part I was so scared reading GIT, and I just stopped reading. So I started from renal, and then I went to genitourinary, and then I went to the other small minor topics, and then the posting part. Whenever you go to the posting, read about breast or hernia or anything, try to complete those chapters in your textbook, because during the end it becomes a lot of burden, even though they're just 3, but it is hectic. So make sure that you revise them thoroughly again and again. And surgery, it has been fine. I've just read SRB, and Bailey and Love, I've read the cases, but I don't find that useful. It is just like a story, and I've never read just before the examination, so it is of no use. I just read it, that's all. And then for orthopedics, I followed Maheshwari. See, what I did was, I thought Natranjan isn't for me, and I thought Natranjan, I don't want to read so many books because I've already bought SRB, I bought Davidson, so I thought I would just go with Maheshwari, because orthopedics is just a minor part, even for your post-graduation or for your examinations. Maheshwari, I supplemented Maheshwari with my post-graduation notes. Dr. Abbas Ali's notes are amazing. They're just amazing. I don't know how many times I have read orthopedics. I swear by the notes. I have read the notes quite a lot of times along with Maheshwari. And then the cases for Das, if you want me, I would just make a video on the cases and the practical experiences and what are cases that will be put up during the curriculum or during the practicals. And then ops and gynae. Ops, I just followed Datta. See, 6 months of my 8th semester that I have read Datta, but I never knew what it actually meant. I think I have actually read it mechanically than understanding. I don't know. I used to not listen to the classes much, but sometimes I do listen. And Datta has been something. It is a book to swear by. It is an amazing book, and I started understanding the essence of Datta in my 9th semester when I integrated Datta, Shaw, and the anatomy part of it. It is an amazing book. It does take time to understand Datta, but once you read it twice or thrice, it becomes much more easier. And I never followed another Viva book or something. I just went through these books. And gynecology, Shaw is amazing. You could just sit for like 1 month tight, reading 2 hours a day. You can just complete Shaw in a month. One shot, Shaw will be done. And Shaw, I don't know, I personally find it quite interesting, because once I read it like twice or thrice, I think I was able to do well. I did my practicals well in Obs and Gynae. And then I forgot to say that whenever you read surgery regarding an organ, try to take out the anatomy book and then go through the anatomy and then do this. Especially you need to be thorough with your cases part of anatomy. Pediatrics OP Guy, first 10 chapters, just read it, and then the other chapters are just like bacha chapters. You could just go through it like that. And there are, when you're reading the CNS and CVS of pediatrics and medicine, try to make a comparative study and read both of them together. It will be much more easy, because meningitis and hydrocephalus, there are some answers in pediatrics which I find are much better in Mandapa compared to pediatrics. So there are certain things like that regarding the pathophysiology, the clinical features, that would be better. And thank you so much for watching. Next video I would make it on what you have to do in your practicals and your curriculum. Thank you.